Hi folks, it's Riley from the Awesome Players Off-Road Motorcycle Club, and today I'm heading off to Hawkesbury to meet up with player Ivan with his 690 Rally. And I was pretty happy today already because if you can see on the right handlebar, that little box with the red knob, that is the Bluetooth remote for my warm and safe heated waterproof windproof jacket liner. And it was about 7 degrees outside. I had it on maximum underneath my BMW jacket, and I was nice and toasty. I was also pretty psyched because this was now the second weekend where my 701 Enduro Husqvarna was running right. I had bought some no-name brand foam filter oil at Canadian Tire, and over time I started to notice the bike just seemed down on power. So on this particular day she was running fine, and she was back to being her normal snarly self, where at 120 kilometers an hour if you whacked it open, things happened. So I was going to meet up with Ivan, who's running a 690 with a full rally kit, and we were going to meet at A&W instead of Tim Hortons, just because the Tim Hortons breakfast is a little bit disgusting. At A&W, you can just get bacon and eggs for a decent price, so that's where we were meeting. Some days you want to lead, and other days it's just nice to follow. So I had settled in here behind Ivan, and it was a little bit chilly, so we were both trying to stay away from the water and not get wet any sooner than we had to. And this is a trail that starts behind the little sand pit, and we come to a T-junction at one point, and left heads towards the pipes, or what we call the pipes, and right heads towards Black Lake. We would not be doing Black Lake today, in keeping with our not getting wet theme. It hadn't been crazy wet, but we were noticing that water levels in general were higher than normal. So I guess the old symbol of Canada, the big rat with the flat tail, was busy in this neighborhood, because a lot of trails that would normally be dry were kind of inundated and saturated. We got to the pipes and I could see the wheels turning in Ivan's helmet, but he decided not to try and ride over the pipes, and he took the bypass to the left. To the right's about 4 feet deep, so you don't want to go that way. My clutch was feeling a little wonky. The engagement point was right out at the end. I'd played a little bit with the adjustment, but since it's a hydraulic clutch, the adjustment really only changes lever position, so my friction point modulation was not that great.
Remember, there's another one up ahead now, eh?
Yeah. I was asking myself if today was
pipes?
the day I was going to go over the pipes rather than around the pipes. And I said, no, today would be not the day.
No.
Hey, you see, I guess there's another beaver down there.
Yeah, it's nice and high, man. Yeah.
I was looking back trying to see if you could see something. Maybe further in the forest.
Easy beavers.
The day after this ride, I would bleed the clutch and change the fluid, and then everything seemed to go back to normal. One thing this trail has taught me, and we have done this trail many, many times, is that Mother Nature can always throw you a curveball. Here you can see the water level is high. I mean, on both sides of this, I think this is an old abandoned rail line, the water level's quite high, but there used to be this tiny little crossing, and Ivan's getting to it right ahead of me. And one day it just transformed itself into this front wheel swallowing little creek. And that was my feet getting wet, even though they were on the pegs. My boots were still underwater, so there was a little bit of depth. And here we've come to the gratuitous water crossing because there is a perfectly good bridge on the left. But of course, here at the Awesome Players, we are huge believers in peer pressure. If one of us jumps off a bridge, yes, the rest of us will follow. Now we're jumping forward quite a bit. Here you see a couple of people with guns, which is not something you see every day here. But it was hunting season, so we had made a conscious decision not to go too deep into the woods. You can tell it's hunting season because the rest of the year, when you see a pickup truck out here, it's got a trailer because it's somebody with an ATV. And when you start seeing tons of trucks with no trailers, that means there be men with guns out and about. So maybe this is a case where loud pipes save lives. We got to this junction. We were planning on going straight ahead, and then we noticed the sign that said Saint Adolphe de Howard to the right. And I had a buddy who had a cottage there, and the Federation of Quebec Off-Road Motorcyclists had recently signed on this ATV club that had trails in that area. So I figured this was probably going to link up with it. So right it was. One of the reasons I don't have too much video from this ride is that I was running my GoPro in loop mode. And the way I have it set up is it's a 5-minute loop. So the camera is constantly recording, and then if something interesting happens, you hit stop and it keeps the last 5 minutes. I'm not sure I kept the section of this trail where it was super rocky, but this section here gives you a pretty good indication of what a lot of the trail was like. Some friendly ATVers. This trail does require the trail pass. We did see some signs, but we were all stickered up, so we were legal. Here's another example of one of the rocky climbs. These were actually pretty steep. Here you can see I just sat down. Sometimes on the 701, if you just put the weight over the rear tire, it'll just climb anything. Stops all the wheel spin and hopping. And of course, as the rocks went on and on, it always comes to my mind that Super Dave would not be enjoying this. You could see some daylight here, and we popped out into every Quebec rider's favorite area, the Hydro Line. A few minutes later, we were back in the woods. another rocky climb. Kind of blew it there, was in too high a gear, knocked it down into first. And then that clutch kind of did me in. I didn't quite feather it the way I wanted, and over I went. Ivan avoided me to the right and managed to make it look super easy. Just as I thought about trying to pick up the bike by myself, the handlebars here are actually lower than the wheels. It's hard to tell from the video. I decided that discretion was once again the better part of valor, and I'd wait to have a little bit of help. One thing I like about that warm and safe jacket is it doesn't use a BMW plug, so when you fall off, it's more like a barrel connector. It just kind of unplugs without putting any pressure on everything, which was kind of nice. I had had the good sense to fall down at the top of the hill, so getting going wasn't too much of a big deal. Even here you can tell I don't know quite what's going on with that clutch. The trail did eventually get us to the beautiful hamlet of St. Adolphe de Howard. And once I got my bearings, I realized I knew how to get to my buddy's cottage. So we zipped down a little gravel road, and then there's quite a long private little access road to his cottage, which would be a lot of fun if you weren't too worried about someone coming the other way. And we had a nice little visit with my buddy Tim and his wife Jenny before we hit the road again. We decided to backtrack. I always find it interesting how different a trail can seem going the other way. We did find a different access point, so we managed to bypass some of the really long, nasty, rocky sections, but there was still a fair share of rocks. We ended up on a gravel road, and I'm following Ivan here. We didn't have comms. His comms had been sent in on a warranty claim, and actually I had just gotten my comms back after a warranty claim. But I knew from him staring at the front wheel that he was thinking he had a flat tire, and sure enough, when we pulled up, she was flat. Ivan, what is that?
Hamster got into my wheel. Chewed it, had lunch, yeah. Little bastard. If I catch him.
Nice. You might as well carry a saw instead of some stupid metal stick to prop your bike up. Well, that only took us, I don't know, not even 10 minutes. There's Ivan packing up his tools. So we will be back on the road shortly. And of course, we always pack out our trash. We have gotten pretty good at changing tires, or should I say replacing inner tubes, over the years. And that was a pinch flat. Ivan had mentioned that he'd hit some big rock at speed, not actually on the rocky trail, but actually on the road. So we hopped back on the main road and then decided to retrace our steps even farther back. So here we are on the famous Scotch Road, which anyone who's into dual sporting in the Montreal area, this is the go-to spot for noobs and veterans alike, because this can lead you to a lot of good areas. So I hope this video was entertaining for you. If you have any questions at all about the bikes, the gear, anything we can help you with, feel free to drop us a line here on YouTube, or you can head over to awesomeplayers.com, our website, and you'll find an email contact address there, as well as the order tab. And if you click on the order tab, you can buy some stickers. Perfect for lowering the value of your motorcycle, covering unsightly blemishes, and or letting everyone know that you make poor decisions. You can also visit us over on Facebook, and that's another spot if you have a question or if you would like to share something with us, a video, a picture, a story, feel free to do so. Once again, I hope you enjoyed another little adventure of the Awesome Players Off-Road Motorcycle Club.